Hello.
Hi.
How are you?
Great.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
The queen, she the queen bee,
Yeah.
or something like that. Oh, that's a nice honor.
Yeah. Keep it in there. Plug it.
Hi, Bill. Hi, Dion.
Just a reminder, we're live tonight,
Oh,
so you can't be any comments.
okay. Wow. I already got just interviewed by Scott.
This is for internet.
It's TV show.
Of course, I don't think that was. Hopefully that.
A little busy today.
Ready? I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is our Pledge of Allegiance. I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Vice Chair, could you please read our mission statement?
Marshall Public Schools develops the potential of each learner for success in a changing world.
Thank you. Approval of our agenda. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any additions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Tiger Spotlight.
So we have Mr. Lamprecht, and he certainly would deflect the praise to other people, but we'd like to recognize him and the district office staff team and everybody who works in our district office with the Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting Award from ASBO. And it says the mission of the Certificate of Excellence program is to encourage and recognize excellence in preparation and issuance of school systems comprehensive annual financial report. This is Marshall Public Schools' 6th time in receiving this award. And there is a certificate from the Association of School Business Officials International stating this Certificate of Excellence in Financial Reporting Award is presented to Marshall Public Schools ISD 413 for its comprehensive annual financial report. The CAFR has been reviewed and met or exceeded ASBO International Certificate of Excellence standards. So, Jeff, if you'd like to present that to Bruce on behalf of all of our district office staff, that'd be appreciated.
Thank you. Yeah, picture. Yeah.
Hey, ladies, how are you?
Great. How are you?
Good. Congratulations.
Thank you.
I'll take it, Tricia.
Tricia needs to be in there.
I think we're good. I think we're good.
I certainly want to recognize this group here for all the great work that they do. And we work hard day in and day out. This is just a reflection of all the good work that does in fact take place. So, thank you very much.
And then just a quick recognition also for Dion Karen. Last week by the Minnesota School Boards Association, he was recognized with the Leadership Development Certificate from MSBA for completing phase 1, 2, and I believe 3 training. So congratulations, Dion, for this accomplishment and for your continued commitment and support to the school.
Public forum, is there anybody in the public that would like to approach the board? Now is your our presentation, Why We Play, Mr. Bruce Remy.
Thank you for allowing me to be here tonight. My name is Bruce Remy. I'm the Activities Director here for Marshall Public Schools. And I'm here tonight to share with you a presentation that the Minnesota State High School League has provided all schools throughout the state. And it's just kind of an informational piece on an initiative that started about 2 years ago at the High School League called Why We Play. And it's something our coaching staff has been working on through their continuing education requirements for a couple of years now, and this was a presentation that was put together by the league to share with school boards from across the state to give you kind of some information and background about what our coaches have been working on as they work with our student athletes. So a lot of what you're going to see here comes straight from the high school league. There's also some information specific to Marshall Public Schools that we'll fill in a little bit as we get going. Obviously, the title of it is Aligning School Communities around the purpose of education-based programs. And one of the things that not only the Minnesota State High School League, but high school leagues from across the country have really focused on is the difference between education-based programming, which happens in our school districts, and some of the club programming that happens through organizations like Junior Olympics or AAU or youth organizations from across the state that maybe don't have the same education focus that our programs do. And that's one of the things that you're going to see highlighted here. Leaders of learning, you can see there. Really what it comes down to is what's the purpose of our programs? And we're going to talk tonight a little about goals and purpose and what's the difference between what our goals are and the goals that we set out to accomplish with our athletes or with our students versus what's the purpose of those goals. And I think the next thing that we kind of get into is a slideshow or a video that is put together. So we'll let you sit back and watch this before we go any further.
I think the culture of sport is broken. Success is defined by winning, by having more points on the scoreboard at the end of the day than the other team. That's where the value lies. And whose name is in the paper the next day. And who had the most points, and who had the most rebounds, and who won the game. And who gets to the championship. It's the reason why we do it.
The Minnesota State High School League's Jody Redmond is passionate about developing the human potential of students. She's leading a national movement to reclaim the purpose of sports.
The pressure to win, and sometimes at all costs, is significant. Kids feel it. They feel it from their coaches. They feel it from their parents. They feel it from their friends. They feel the pressure to be able to win.
When we think of how our culture values high school sports today, certain words come to mind, and that of former coach and NFL star Joe Ehrmann.
Destructive.
Expectations.
Aggressive.
Trophies. Win at all costs.
Lack of value.
Win at all costs.
Lack of value. Yes. Missed opportunities.
Zero fun, sir.
misguided,
Unfortunately.
sad.
When we look at education-based athletics and what a trophy means, I think it's about the experience. It's about what did we provide those students that was life-sustaining through trying to get the trophy.
Today's student athletes feel the pressure to compete at a high level, so they drop out of sports. 70% quit by the age of 13, and they miss out on a big educational benefit.
There's a University of Kansas study that draws a correlation between kids who participate and are involved in high school athletic and activity programs. Students that are involved in those activities do much better academically than students who are not. The research shows that the reason for that is school connectedness.
It's been amazing what we've learned.
5 years ago, Mounds View High School began to survey their students, asking what they really get from being involved in the school's athletic and activity programs.
I was shocked to find out that our coaches and advisors are equally as important in the lives of our students as our teachers. It was a game changer for us. Our whole district, where we're going and how we value activities, it's not after school. It's part of the educational process. It is no longer an extra. We've defined that, and it's something that we value every bit as much as what they do during the school day.
The purpose of high school athletic programs is not to develop college or professional athletes. In fact, most students, 97%, will not play organized sports after they graduate. Instead, these powerful mentors we call coaches have 4 years to make a difference in kids' lives, to teach them life lessons that will help prepare them to be successful in life.
Well, I will be honest, our goal is to win. Our goal in many sports is to win a state championship.
Winning has a place, and there is value in learning how to win. However, that's not our purpose.
Our purpose is to enjoy that experience, enjoy their teammates, enjoy their coaches, and learn from whatever took place on the field or the court or on the ice on that given day.
Our purpose isn't the score at the end of the game. The purpose is the growth and development that comes through trying to achieve that win.
3 objectives I have. I want him to be a better baseball player, a better teammate, and a better person at the end of the year.
Mustang! We're working with coaches to develop their own purpose statement.
Why do I coach the way that I do? It comes because I had a couple coaches in my life that touched me and changed my life.
Joe Ehrman has been called the most important coach in America and a leading voice for change in how we coach our kids in sports today.
Why do you coach? Is it about you or is it about your players?
A transactional coach is basically a coach that uses his platform and position for his own self-edification, for his own identity, his own empowerment at the expense of the development of their players. It's kind of, if you meet my needs, my demands as a transactional coach, then I'll give you playing time, I'll give you praise, some kind of applause. But it's basically using young people.
As a child growing up, I had a lot of transactional coaches when I was younger because I was a very talented kid. Once I got to high school, my head coach, I didn't have a dad, so my head coach was my dad. This is tough. And he showed me I'm more than just an athlete.
Transformational coaches basically understand the power, platform, position they have in the lives of young people, and they're going to use that to change the arc of every young person's life, to help them develop morally, ethically, socially, and emotionally. Transformational coaches mentor young people. And to mentor, you have to build a relationship with people. Transactional coaches do nothing but monitor young people. They move them from drill to drill, season to season, no relationship, no contact.
When I first started coaching, I only had one goal, and that was to win at all costs. I don't use that term lightly. I know how it sounds, and I'm not very happy with who I was as a coach then. Now looking back,
to be a better coach, you got to be a better you.
Now our focus is much more on what I'll call trying to build a team family within the chemistry of our individual teams that I coach, and trying to find ways for our athletes to grow as people. get excited. Can't wait. Let's go.
Every day, Coach Troy Kors works hard to keep his purpose alive in everything he does, and he's helping his team student athletes to do the same.
Good. Nice. What 3 words would identify you as an athlete? Completely you as an individual, and what you want to get out of the sport?
Family.
Okay. Okay.
Because you basically feel like a family. You can go to them for anything. They'll help you with anything.
The word I chose was friendship. I like working track practice, hanging out with people I know, and just getting to know them. I chose responsibility because I feel like you have to be able to rely on others, and you have to be reliable yourself.
So I'm going to take 5. You have 6. You have 7. I grabbed 3 words as well, and mine goes like this. I coach to create positive relationships with my athletes so they know I care about them while striving to be an authentic leader who they can trust as we both work together to discover joy in our sport and through competition. It was a good time on 13.65.
Thank you.
Nicely done. Well done. Well done.
I'm mostly in track just to have fun. Just because I'm not the best doesn't mean it's a problem.
The big group's kind of like a family
For me, it looks like we're enjoying ourselves more. The idea of sharing in something and enjoying each other's company and being a part of a sport we love to play. For me, that's been the biggest change I see.
For a coach to withstand the pressure of the current win-at-all-cost sports culture and to truly be invested in transforming the lives of students, there must be support. Support from school leaders, parents, and the community. For this to happen, we must want more for our kids than just wins, losses, and a good performance.
We want to give them more. We want to give them a significant experience that's going to help them develop into people that are going to live in our community. We want to give them a way of being successful that will sustain them throughout their lifetime, not just until the season's over. So we have to align school communities around this idea that we are purpose-based, we're education-based.
I want school boards to reclaim sports in the name of education. I think school boards need to make sure that we move away from this win at all costs. We need to start building a system where coaches are held accountable for the transformative impact they have in the lives of their students.
It really boils down to what do we want to give our children? Beyond the trophy, beyond just the win and the loss, beyond the trophy case.
Hopeful.
Filled with potential.
And a great character.
Yeah. Confusion and mistake-making rocks.
And every child feels loved and belongs.
Connected.
Greater relational capacity.
Wow. You're rocking. What else you got in there?
Okay. From there, we kind of get into the discussion a little about goals and purpose. And much like you heard Jody talk and Joe talk on there, you know, those two terms are not synonymous. They both have their own meanings. And I make a correlation much like we have in the classroom. You know, we have district goals that we've set forward for student achievement and things like that. You know, 90% reading at grade level by grade 3 or whatever. Those are great goals to have, and those are things that we're striving towards in the classroom. That's not the purpose. The purpose is to create some lifelong learners and help them develop the potential. And that's what our purpose is. And it's very much the same with what we're trying to do in our extracurricular activities. We all set goals. You guys are as good at it as anybody through your work here. So you don't need me to define what a goal is. But some examples of goals that you might find, you know, in athletics. Dribbling with your left hand, learning a new dismount in gymnastics, or winning a state championship. All worthwhile goals that we would normally see our athletes or our students set through their participation in some of our activities. winning is a goal, and that's still not something we need to apologize for. The kids who continue to advance and participate, the higher the level goes, the more they want to see that success on the scoreboard. And that's not something we're downplaying. It certainly is a goal, but that's not what the purpose is. Our purpose is to use our activities to help them achieve and take some life skills with them that they can use throughout the rest of their life. Definition of a purpose, the reason for which something exists or something is done. So what's the purpose of learning to dribble left-handed? Might be to overcome adversity. Those of us who are right-handed and have tried to dribble left-handed, you know what we're talking about there. Learning a new dismount off the beam. The purpose might be moving outside of one's comfort zone. Okay, that's why you want to teach somebody to do that. That's the purpose behind it. Winning a championship. Purpose there is to learn to work together with others towards a common goal. So it's a shift of mentality between what the goal is and why the goal is there and what we can take out of that. We plan or prepare, plan, and play to win, but the win's not our purpose. And again, Joe Ehrmann, if you haven't read that book, if you want to borrow one, I got copies in the office, you can certainly take a look at. Inside Out Coaching by Joe Ehrmann. It's a great book, and a lot of this philosophy comes from him. But you can see what his purpose is there. Help boys become men of empathy and integrity who will lead, be responsible, and change the world for good, and then define success by my wins and losses. You can't do it. You can't say that's your purpose if that's the way you're going to define it. So this kind of gets us to where we're at right now, and I brought a couple members of our coaching staff in tonight, and they're going to talk a little about what they went through to set their purpose statements. One of the things that the league has done through their continuing education requirements, all of our coaches through the Minnesota State High School League have their own what they call clipboard page, and they have to maintain certain education requirements, and every year they need to watch some modules and answer questions and things like that. And one of the things that they're now working with us all on is developing a purpose statement. And what you see up there right now is the purpose statement I developed as an activities director. And you see there it says, my purpose is to provide opportunities for all involved, and that means coaches, that means student athletes, to develop loyalty, integrity, and passion through participation in quality high school activities. So that's what I developed through going through some of my own continuing education with the league. And at this point, I'm going to ask our two coaches to come forward. Emily Snyder, who coaches dance for us, along with Travis Carroll, who coaches basketball for us. They're going to come forward and share a little about what they developed on their coaching purpose statement. So if you guys want, I don't remember which one pops up first here, so we'll see. It looks like Emily, you're on the docket first.
Hi, I'm Emily Snyder. I'm one of the varsity coaches for the Marshall Tiger dance team. The statement that I developed, I teach compassion and integrity to the MTDT dancers through modeling those values in all areas of my life. My purpose is to help develop young women into confident, strong, empowered, and respectful members of society. I felt that it was important to include the idea of modeling, of my own modeling, especially compassion and integrity, because it's my job to teach them to be successful humans and to be successful people in society and to be successful adults. I teach dance technique. I coach them to be successful on the floor and to have the skills that they need to be good dancers. But I also have to guide them and mentor them throughout their middle school and high school careers. Dancers join the dance team in 7th grade. They're littles when they join that team, and a lot of times we have 7th graders on varsity, and it's a very big learning curve for them because they're on the team with seniors, and we have to teach them how to act as a team when there's 6 years age difference. And so that's part of the beauty, I guess, of dance. Dance itself teaches poise, and it teaches confidence, and it teaches how to present yourself on the floor in front of many, many, many people, which are all essential life skills Those are all essential things in life, regardless of what kind of career path you're going on or what you see for your future. And we focus so much on setting those things as goals rather than setting winning as goals. As a team, we set team goals at the beginning of the year, and we evaluate those goals throughout the year. And we also have the girls set personal goals at the beginning of the year and evaluate those goals. And yeah, winning is fun. I'm not going to lie. Last year was my first year as a varsity coach, and we made it to state in both kick and jazz, and that was awesome. I was very, very happy, but they learned something along the way. We could have not made it to state, and I would have still been happy if everybody had learned something along the way. So we try to balance, just as Mr. Remy said, we try to balance our purpose and our goal, and try to make the purpose what we're doing every single day, and try to model that every single day, not just during practice, but at the grocery store or at school, or when I see all the dancers who are in marching band, when they see me at the football game. I try to model that for them everywhere. Then I guess the last thing I wanted to mention is that in addition to my job of preparing every dancer for their competition and to put their best dance out on the floor every single time they dance, it's also my job to prepare them for whatever is beyond high school. Not a whole lot of people become professional dancers, and they need to be prepared for what's beyond high school, be that college, be that a career, be that whatever. And I feel like my role as their coach and my job of modeling how a woman specifically functions in society is just as important as if they can do an Alsacone. And I think that I have a unique opportunity and a very unique position to be able to be a positive role model, for lack of a better term.
Good evening. Everyone's doing well. Thank you for your time. Thank you to Mr. Remy for letting us come here tonight and present. I'm Travis Carroll, the boys basketball coach at the Marshall High School, and my purpose statement is trying to mold young boys into young men, let them know how to handle adversity in a game in life. In order to achieve our goals, we need to work as one unit. Connections will go beyond the basketball floor between player and coaches, and these connections will last for years. First of all, we hope that these boys choose basketball because they enjoy the game. They want to improve, and that they enjoy the competition. And as Mr. Remy said, it's not just based on wins and losses. And we also want to look at from the junior high level, we try to work on those basic skills, whether if it's their individual skills, the basic skill of being on a team, what it means to be on a team, what the definition of a student athlete is, because as when seventh graders come in, they're starting to understand they have responsibility in the classroom and in the gym as well. And we're also hoping to develop our basic concepts on offense at the junior high level and on defense. And then as we progress each year, the competition becomes greater amongst each others, and they have to be respectful towards one another in that competition with one another. And we also want to work on those our offensive and defensive philosophies, hoping to improve on those each year, and then the true definition of what it means to be a team member. Student athletes, first and foremost with us, it's very important that they are getting the job done in the classroom, because as they said on that video, 97% of kids, they're not playing at the next level. Well, what's their responsibility is, what they do after high school, and where we're at, the kids have to sacrifice a lot of time out of their schedule in order to be a student athlete, and they have to learn how to manage that time and take that with them as they move forward. And it's very important that we are competitive. Once we hit that varsity level, that we are competitive. Each night that we go out there and take the floor, and hopefully the team concept comes in as, we have to work as we said, as one unit on both offense and defense, and that is when they hit that older level, that is very important in order to be successful. And lastly, it's the life lessons that they can take with them. And one thing that we talk about with our boys is communication. We like to say we kind of live in the text messaging era, where communication's a lot easier with a text message than a personal conversation. And we try to have personal conversations with these guys throughout our season, because they have questions, and we want these boys to come up and ask us questions, and understand that once they do ask questions, they may not always like the answers they get back, but they're going to get an honest answer back from us. And it's very important that they learn to communicate with adults, because as they get older, that's a life skill that they're going to have is be in order to communicate with one another, have to be able to communicate with those that they work with as they get older. Another thing that we strive on is being a team. What's it mean to be on our team? These young men are going to have to sacrifice their time each night. They're going to have to come to practice and sacrifice that time, and every guy on our team is going to have to sacrifice the number of minutes that they play. They're going to have to sacrifice the number of points that they score each night, and that's something that isn't always easy, but it's something that they learn that they have to do in order for us to reach our potential as a team, that everyone is going to have to sacrifice. And one thing that we like to focus on as well is adversity. If you come and watch us play this year, there's going to be some games this year where you look at us and say, have these guys practice together? Because they don't look like they have they don't look like they know what's going on. And we won't be working there'll be games where we're not working very well together on the offense or defensive end of the floor. And we're going to have to figure it out. And hopefully we can figure it out during the game and not wait till after the game to try to figure it out. And try to face that adversity head on in the moment, in the situation, and how are we going to fix it? It's not going to be one person that's fixing it. It's going to be a group. And we have 18 guys in our varsity, and it's not going to be, our team isn't based on one person. It's based on all 18 guys, and all 18 guys are going to have to be the ones that come in and help fix it. And we got to fix it. And whether if it's practice or games, all 18 individuals are very important in order for that to happen. Because as we all know, the adversity in life is going to be much greater than any adversity that we're going to face on the floor. These kids are going to be facing things that, we see it every day as we get older, how difficult the adversity is in life. And, these kids, it hits us harder at different times in life. And, it's a situation when they hit that adversity in life is, hopefully these experiences can help them in those situations and moments and, help go forward, because it's not going to be easy. And it's not going to always go the way that, they think it's going to go. And hopefully we can, be good mentors, be positive mentors for these young men. And once they leave and they see us, they come back and they see us, they look forward to saying hi and having that conversation. And, it's, those are all great experiences. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thanks to both Travis for coming up today and sharing a little bit of their purpose statements. And we have a lot of coaches who would reflect very similar statements that they put together. And I think this has been a real positive experience for our coaches to go through these exercises as part of their continuing education. And I'm going to continue to click through a few things here that I'd like to highlight tonight. How do we define success? You've seen our mission statement. It's in our handbook. It's hanging in the gym, and you see that often. And as you look through there, you notice a lot of the life skill references, which is what ultimately we are trying to use our activities programs to teach. Things like self-discipline, character, responsibility, leadership, and integrity. You hit all those on the head, you're going to come out of here a winner no matter what it says anywhere else. And that's really what we're trying to do through participation in our activities programs. The values that are in our handbook, very similar to the values you see in our district's mission statement and our strategic plan. And we use these values as an active part of what we do at the end of each of our seasons with our coaching staff. We'll sit down and we'll do a self-evaluation with the coaches, and we'll talk about, how do we feel we addressed all those things during the course of the season. And those are some of the things that we do to try and continually improve on the experience we're providing for the kids. And ultimately, that's what we want. A few other continuous improvement opportunities that we've done. Last year, during the fall of 2014, the Big South Conference put together this Why We Play workshop. And we had 18 members of our coaching staff attend that. We did it down in Jackson. We brought the high school league. You saw Jody Redmond on that video. She was a part of the presentation. And they came down and did a training with all of our coaches on a lot of these same concepts. So that was one of the things. That was an opportunity. Professional development stipend that we have built into our department that our coaches can use to attend state and national clinics and coaches development programs. And then they have, as I referenced earlier, the continuing ed modules that they have to keep up with on a regular basis. So those are all ways that they're reinforcing these concepts and these values. Some takeaway points. Again, the differences between goals and purpose. And as I said before, as we move, and I thought Travis did a nice job of kind of referencing, our junior high programs are certainly more exploratory and fundamental based, and we want to encourage that development of kids and introduction to activities. And as you move through there to the C squad levels and the junior varsities and ultimately the varsity, it does move across to a more competitive and more winning base. But it's not a win at all cost things. Certainly those students who advance to that level have more interest in pushing themselves for that. But it's not the purpose. The purpose is to develop those life skills that the kids can take with them beyond here. And just there's a couple of, if you are interested in more information, let me know. I can certainly get you in touch with more things. There's resources available on the league website you can download and read some more on. And certainly the Why We Play Twitter handle, if those of you who are in there. Jody does a nice job of keeping up with that. So that's really the gist of it. I certainly appreciate the opportunity to share with you. If there's any questions I could answer for you, either now or in the future, just get a hold of me. I'd be certainly happy to visit with you. Thank you much.
Thank you.
Moving on to our consent agenda. Do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second. Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. Is approved. Financials.
All right, the bills for the period of August and September by fund category are as follows. The general fund, $1,248,106.12. Food service fund, $26,060.31. Transportation fund, $47,778.03. Community services fund, $138,416.99. Capital outlay fund, $288,111.91. The construction fund, $300,476. And then the student entrepreneurial fund, $261.05. That makes a grand total of $2,049,210.41. And I would recommend approval of our bills for the period of August and September. And just one comment, construction fund, some of you may be wondering what that is. That's for our program and projects with ESG Honeywell.
Very good. Motion to approve. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Discussion. Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Anything else? Bruce, with treasurers?
I would just mention again to the 3-year comparison report that is in your packet. And basically, with our general fund expenditures, we're right on target with previous years as far as the expenditure side. And then on the revenue side, we're lagging just a little bit as compared to previous years as far as revenue coming in. But that's it as far as any further report. Any questions in regards to the information on the Treasurer's report?
Thank you. Board forum. Does anybody in the board have anything they'd like to bring up? Administrator's report.
The reports are available in Electronic School Board. I'll just hit some highlights of each of them for you, and then give our student school board members and Mr. Lamprecht a chance to share if they want from their reports. In my report, there's an update on our one-to-one initiative that we're in the second year of a three-year plan, if you will, and also a variety of information on the MREA conference. If you're interested in attending, please let Tricia know. That's coming up, I believe, in November. We've asked Tiffany Teskey, who's our early childhood coordinator, to continue to submit reports for us. That's an important part of our programming. So in her report, we've got updates on a variety of different programs and things taking place or happening in her particular area, and also some staffing updates. I like how she was able to include the new folks in her update. Darcy's update report includes information about the new playground that they've been working on for a while, and also some thoughts about class sizes and the challenges that are posed there. Jeremy's report has an update on fall testing and also technology and some of the new things happening at Westside. Excuse me. Mary Kay's report includes information about library classes and media update, as well as kind of some neat things happening with a couple of her social studies teachers as far as an update goes. Brian Jones, a lot of testing information, but some really detailed information on advanced placement and also on ACT. Michelle's report, updates on different courses taking place at Maytech, and also an update on Greater Minnesota Family Services. Mr. Remy's report included information about the M Club Hall of Fame induction coming up on October 10th, I believe, and also a variety of events that were hosted or have been hosted recently. It's been a busy place, and I know he's been a busy man. And then Amanda's report shared some of the workshop week survey results, and also touched on the teacher development and evaluation information and plan. Bruce, do you have some things you'd like to
just
highlight?
A couple things that I'd like to highlight. Workers' comp insurance and our property liability insurance are both in the renewal process effective October 1st. With the workers' comp, because of our experience modification dropping below that 1.0 number, we're actually for 15-16, our cost for work comp is going to be less than what it has been, so that's good news. And that's a reflection that we have not had a whole lot of accidents and things of that nature. That's what drives the experience mod, and the experience mod really drives what you pay for insurance premium. The preliminary results on the 14-15 audit look good in most of our funds. We're looking at possible increases in the fund balance. You'll certainly be hearing a whole lot more about that as we move forward into October and November. Hoffman and Bropes will be coming forward, I believe, at the November work session to provide a succinct analysis of our audit results for 14-15. I'll be talking a little bit more about the preliminary levy here in just a few minutes when that item comes up on the board agenda. We also are in the process of renewing our dental program through a program that is called Simple. Yes, it is. It's Simple. That's the name of it. It used to be Minnesota Dental Benefits, and now it's called Simple. And we had a meeting of the insurance committee here last week and discussed 4 options, and the committee put forward a consensus on option 4, which provides a little bit more coverage on orthodontia. And there's still a deductible, but the deductible comes after the first $150 is spent on the program. So really, it's for the additional money that we're going to have to pay for the dental coverage. it's a much more rich plan. So that's something that will take effect November 1st. So I believe that's all I have to report. Scott.
Thank you, Bruce. And ladies, how about you? Maybe the Queen would like to go first.
Homecoming week was last week. Coronation was on Monday. Yes, I am the Queen.
Congratulations.
Thank you. There was a pep rally on Friday. It was really fun. There was a bunch of games. Like we played Human Hungry Hippo and a pie eating contest. Or not a pie. Whipped cream eating contest. And then the dance on Friday was very fun. There was a lot of people. And then Link Crew had a tailgating party before the game. A bunch of people came. There were burgers and hot dogs. Volleyball currently has a score of 6-2. They had a game on the 17th. And football has a record of 4-0. They beat Fairmont on the 11th, and I think that they beat the Trojans on Friday. I didn't stay the whole game, but cross country did great on the 15th also.
Marching band had their first competitions a few weeks ago, and they placed second and third at Eden Prairie and Eastview. They hosted the Pursuit of Excellence last Saturday. There was 19 bands from across the Midwest participating. Last week at school, it was Refugee Awareness Week, and Marian Osman and other peers started a Hope for Refugees donation drive fundraiser at the high school for refugees in Syria. They sold candy grams for $1, and all the donations went to help them. Then the middle school, there's meetings and registration has started for after-school program and Project Success, and these are both after-school homework support programs.
Thank you. Thank you.
First readings of our policies, 607 through 612.1. Any questions? Moving on to our discussion items, Review Study Committee recommendation.
So this is not an action item today or this evening. It's informational. It's a big decision, obviously, that the board will need to make at some point in time relative to how to proceed or even if to proceed. As you are likely aware, the Facility Study Committee met 7 times, and I've shared before that I felt like there were some really good conversations, some really good ideas, different perspectives. I don't think that everybody agreed with everything at all times, which is not abnormal when you bring a large group of people together, but it was, I think, a real good effort at finding a solution that was going to meet our needs, not only in the short term, but hopefully in the long term, and also balance out the themes that were chosen as most important. And maybe Tricia can put those up on the board if she wants to. And also taking into account the financial aspect of things. That was certainly a discussion during the meeting. So the recommendation of the Facilities Committee is called Idea 11B3, and it's actually in the slides. I believe it's slide number 3 is the one that I will reference, although if you want to go to slide number, mine are numbered differently, but if you want to go to the one that has the themes on it, you can see that all of our ideas, or all the ideas that continued to move forward for additional consideration, were essentially screened, if you will, based on 10 different themes, the top 5 being building security, class size, financial impact and transparency, student enrollment by site or building, and the 5th in the top 5 is early childhood program accommodation and possible expansion. The next group of most important themes included hands-on learning, specifically tech ed, student support services, future learning, repurposing West Side, and middle school repurposing. So all of these were screening tools that were utilized to get to the committee recommendation of 11B3, which has Parkside being added on to, and I'm going to use the word converted into a pre-K, pre-kindergarten through first grade building at an approximate cost of $3.6 million. All of this is our estimates, and certainly there is work left to be done, but we'll use it as a starting point. There would then be a new second through fourth grade elementary school built somewhere, most likely on the middle school location or site here, preferably away from the middle school, just for congestion purposes and to ease traffic and different things like that. That would be at a cost of approximately $21.1 million. West side would be sold or something that the district would not be responsible for, repurposing of some sort. The middle school would remain grades 5 through 8 with remodeling perhaps of the pool for gym space or some sort of multi-purpose space. Also remodeling the early childhood classrooms and areas for maybe career and tech ed, but classrooms in general. And then perhaps putting on a small addition to accommodate the growth. All of that would be accomplished for an estimate of $4 million. And then out at Marshall High School, we would have an addition put on that would include, it would be a 2-story, again, draft, if you will, including science classrooms and maybe career and tech ed, in addition to another smaller addition that might be, necessary, and that would be for $8.7 million. There's also a $500,000 built in district-wide just to make sure that the technology piece of everything is up to speed anytime you have new construction or renovating or remodeling like this. We need to make sure with the direction that we're going that we have the capacity and capability to do what we need to. You can see the committee recommendation includes grade structure of pre-K through 1, 2 through 4 with a new building, 5 through 8 middle school, 9 through 12 high school. There was a lot of discussion about that. The grade structure, different features, west side repurposed. Middle school I believe it's been empty since 2006, if I'm not mistaken, converted to some usable space. A new 2nd through 4th grade elementary building, and then pre-K, K1 center with kind of continuity of that grade level transition into kindergarten and first grade, if you will. Cost is less than $40 million. In fact, I believe the estimate we have is $37.9 million. If I'm not mistaken, it was the least expensive of all of the options that were discussed. But yet I think our committee, I believe the committee feels like it meets the needs that we've identified the best. Site, like it says there, locate new building on the current middle school site. We feel like there's enough room to do that here. You can see some of the next steps. Board of Education, just review the work of the committee. If we need to pull our school board committee together, we can. At some point in time, the school board should review this and take action to approve it or revise it, direct us to move forward, do different things like that. Committee members, what am I missing? What would you like to add, if anything?
This would take us it says a 10-year plan, take care of the needs for 10?
Yes. That's what it's actually probably closer to 9 now, Jeff, with the way we've projected into the future, and we're about a year into it.
I just know there was a lot of discussion around West Side, and the biggest challenge with West Side and that whole discussion is usually looking at $11.5 or $11.6 million just to get it up to code. That wasn't anything in terms of remodeling or functional changes. It was really just roofs and heating and the boiler systems and the windows, and it was just a really tough piece to tackle.
That's a good point, Bill. There was a lot of discussion about that and the validity or feasibility of investing those kind of dollars in in a building that's still a 50-year-old building when you're done was very valid, I thought. Deep discussion.
And I think throughout the whole process and all the discussion, Dave Maroney from ATS&R really kept us on task as far as all the different proposals, and I think there were like 18 maybe, and then there were the 2 additional which came forward at our last meeting a week ago, and basically it was making sure that we were meeting those important themes, at least the top 5 important themes, and so that was part of the criteria that was used to make the selection, make the recommendation for 11B3. There's been quite a number of variations along the way.
Are we hoping to do some kind of community, now that the recommendation's out there, are we going to do a community type meeting so we can get input for even more people in the community prior to us voting on this?
I don't know, Karen, I don't think anybody would disagree with the idea, and we definitely need to get input, but I think from a timing perspective, when you look at needing to submit, I think review and comment takes 90 days, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
It's something we kind of need to get going on and definitely get input along the way and see what types of revisions are necessary, but I think we're to the point where, from a timing perspective, if we want something in place at the start of the 2017-18 school year, we probably need to stick to our process. But I think it's a valid discussion for the facilities committee to have and see what opportunities there are to incorporate that.
Any other comments?
Before you go on, Jeff, and just a special thank you to all of the facility study committee members. We had the last meeting was, I think, 3 hours, and it was typical for us to go over 2 hours at every meeting, and their work was appreciated, and many of them were staff members, but we also had community members and a variety of different people from different factions of the Marshall community. So if you have an opportunity to thank them, please do so, and I will also try to do the same thing. That's our hope, yep.
I think the meetings did, in regards to the new elementary location, did they discuss and just take out disruption, take out traffic flow, all that, just the ability to connect it to this building and what kind of cost savings that could possibly bring? So if the new one is going to cost $21 million, does it cost significantly less to add it?
We did
I don't know
in all of our discussions and I don't know however many variations we had, it was looked at some type of grade configuration attaching onto this facility, and I believe it was more expensive. The grade configuration wasn't exactly 2 through 4, but there were some variations in proposals where we did actually look at attaching to this and just essentially doubling the size. And one of the criteria, if you go back to themes, was, if I can find it, student enrollment by size of site/building. We got to some numbers where we had really big numbers on one site, which really scared a lot of people. In the end, however, this proposal that the committee is bringing forward kind of maintained that size, so it was a smaller site, and it ended up being the lesser cost as well. So it did 2 things.
You're saying, though, that it was actually more expensive to actually build on the facility versus just building?
Correct.
The total cost, I believe, was just a little bit more expensive, Kurt and Bill, but I think it was within a couple $1 million of each other. I know that seems like a lot of money, but you still need a gym, you still need a cafeteria, you still need a boiler plant, because this building isn't, I don't believe, and I could be wrong, but I don't believe the power plant, if you will, of this building is large enough to handle a 3-grade elementary school. So it was just, and I think we're talking about a minimal amount of difference, although still significant, I understand.
I think if you look at on slide 3, it's the very upper left.
Idea 9.
I think idea 9. And you'll see there it had originally 38.5, but it actually jumps to 40.1 million when we had to factor in, I believe it was career and technical and all-day pre-K options. So to keep everything the same in terms of what we were comparing, it jumped to 40.1 million.
So what are the durations? Just how many students you're going to have at a specific site?
Correct.
When you throw it all into this,
In this case, it was 1,120 students at a site.
3rd through 8th grade, which is quite a
Correct.
quite a discrepancy or difference, and I think there was an amount of concern about the proximity of the buildings to each other in that case.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? Moving on to our scorecard.
So we've had a district scorecard or report card or whatever you wish to call it for a number of years as a part of our 16, our strategic plan. The baseline measurements were established in 2010-11. Included in your packet, it's not an action item, it's an informational item, are the different goals. So we have the goal of improving student performance for all students with 9 different measurements underneath that goal, if you will, or included in that goal. Second one, improve constituent satisfaction with 5 measurements. Another goal is to commit to ongoing and continuous employee development with 8 measurements. Fourth one is align support systems throughout the district to provide optimum learning environments and experiences with 9 measurements. And the final goal is to improve and maintain fiscal stability, accountability, and alignment with 4 measurements. It's kind of if you're a visual person, red in the 2014-15 column means that while we may have been close or far away, we did not reach that goal. Green means that we did, so you can see that there's some green and some red. The second page of the handout or attachment shows historically where we've gone from as low as 26% of the goals attained to as high as 34% in 2013-14, but the trend line is positive, which is a good thing, and we do pay attention to those. And then the next page is a summary or a breakdown or historical look at all the way back to the baseline year, 2010-11, and how we've done. So if you want to look at that. It's not an action item. Our strategic plan is up for review and renewal this year, so we'll use this for one more year and then determine if it fits our needs as we move forward with the new strategic plan.
Questions?
Well, I think there's been enough red over the years where, unfortunately, it's become, I won't say expected, but I think we know that it's going to happen, and yet there hasn't been a lot of flexibility with the report card. You got to remember, a lot of these targets were set 5 years ago, and they're valid targets, if you will. They might have been at that time, but perhaps they became a little bit unrealistic along the way. So I believe that our staff pays attention to them. I think you have, like any situation, Kurt, where you have some who it motivates perhaps, and some who don't don't really give it the credence that it deserves, but we're aware of it. We know what our goals are, and whether or not we agree with the key indicators and 5-year performance targets, I think we have people who are committed to continuing to look at this.
Good. School board goals for 2015-16.
So before we got too far into the 15-16 school year, I just wanted to, more than anything, implement or initiate a conversation about if you wish to have goals for this year as a school board or not. Last year, as the year progressed, there were essentially two goals. One was to bring about additional advocacy, specifically tied to the legislative session. I know a number of you emailed and called and did different things with legislators. And then the second goal was to make sure that we had direction relative to, as a district, relative to making sure that our strategic plan gets updated this year, which will happen. And certainly you've directed me to make that a part of what I do. So do you wish to, not asking for any action, but would you like to do something to, an activity perhaps at the work session in October to talk about where to go with this? Do you want to keep those goals?
I'd like to talk about them at that work session.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Action item, approval of certification of preliminary levy. Motion to approve. Do I have a second? Open for discussion.
If, as part of this motion is to approve the maximum amount. That gives us flexibility as we move forward in regards to the whole levy process, because there's changes that seem to be occurring on a pretty regular basis in regards to adjustments being made by the Minnesota Department of Education and so forth. And we might have our own adjustments depending on what we do with portables or not. We might want to increase our lease levy amount, and that still can be done. Our debt excess needs to be discussed and will be discussed tomorrow with Ehlers and Associates. We might make an adjustment on that. But basically where we stand right now, and this really isn't too important a number at this point in time because it's on such a preliminary basis, but we're looking at a 4.5%, 4.53% increase in our levy amount for 16 as compared to our levy amount last year for 15. And really the basic reason for that increase is, if you remember, the long-term facilities maintenance revenue that was passed by the state legislature. This upcoming fiscal year of 16-17 will be the first year for that, and there's probably about $122,000 increase just in that action that took place as far as the levy portion of it. And then we have in the referendum and that whole process, because we have more students, there is additional levy commitment there to the tune of about $45,000. So there's just a variety of reasons for the increase. Specifically, most of that increase in the total levy amount is in the general fund. And again, you're just approving the maximum amount at this point in time. And then as we go through the levy process through the rest of the fall, coming towards the Truth in Taxation hearing in early December, and then you taking action at the regular December board meeting, there certainly is going to be a lot of opportunity to change things. And if we would certify a certain amount, an exact amount tonight, that would not do us any good. In fact, it would do us harm. So this provides flexibility by approving the maximum levy. Any questions in regards to the action that you're going to take?
Thank you, Bruce. We'll vote. It is approved. Approval of changes to the Teacher Development Evaluation and Peer Support Handbook. Do we have a motion? And we need a second. Open for discussion.
Jeremy Williams and Amanda Grenauger did a lot of work on this along with other people, but if you remember correctly, this was mandated a few years ago during the legislative session that we have a more formal, we being public school districts, have a more formal process that meets certain criteria in place to evaluate and help our teachers develop. Eventually, that process and plan had to be mutually agreed upon by the school board and the exclusive bargaining unit, in this case, the Marshall Education Association. There are minimal changes to the handbook, but anytime you go through something the first time, you find a few things that you could improve, and that's the case here, I believe, just more or less some clarification and some things to avoid confusion and make the process more efficient, if you will, or better. However, because it is a mutually document, the teachers have already approved it, and we're asking for the school board to do the same.
Any other questions? Hearing none, we'll vote. It is approved. Approval of our district-wide surplus rummage sale. I'll make a motion to approve. Do we have a second? Any discussion? This is to get rid of excess equipment, old stuff.
So the desks that are being sold, the student desks, is because they're not any good anymore? I mean, are we thinking we might need those if we've got all kinds of excess students?
They're below standard, yes. That's the reason why they'd be sold. But we have set aside desks if, in fact, we add on a section of first grade and a section of second grade.
Any other questions?
I would just make a comment that we certainly, if you approve this, need to advertise this in a number of different fashions to make sure that we get a good turnout on the 29th and 30th of September.
Is it going to be here again?
I think it's going to be in the annex, actually. It's right behind, but it is going to be on this site.
Very good. Please vote. It is approved. Approval of working procedures agreement with Western Community Action Head Start. Motion to approve. Need a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion.
This is that has been in place, I believe, for a number of years. We're just asking you to approve it since it is sort of a formal agreement between our district and Western Community Action Head Start.
Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Approval of grant the superintendent authority to authorize user access to Minnesota Department of Education secure websites. That's a lot, just so you can get online, right?
Say that 10 times fast.
Yeah. Wow. Motion to approve access. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Open for discussion. Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Nominations for board member to the Southwest West Central Service Cooperative.
Can I speak about this, Jeff, before there's...
Absolutely.
I wasn't really sure what to do with this, but it is timely to some extent. The Southwest West Central Service Cooperative is governed by a board of directors largely composed of school board members from participating districts, and there are some openings this year. There is a resolution in there that if any one of you is interested in serving, the Southwest West Central Service Co-op asks for support from your school board or your colleagues. So it's either an action item if anybody wishes to be nominated, I should say, and considered for election. It can be an action item, otherwise it can just, no action can be taken and it goes by the wayside. But
Do we have any motions?
How often do they meet?
They meet once a month. From what, 5:30 till 10:30 at night?
I believe it's in Marshall. The one meeting that I've gone to was in Marshall. meeting I went to was, and Mary maybe could help out. You go to several of them, a couple hours, and they usually have dinner. Couple hours, would you say, Mary, in general? No.
You know what night of the week?
It's Wednesday, the fourth night.
I'm probably interested in it.
I would definitely nominate Matt.
I definitely second it.
Yes, I'm in.
You haven't taken
But you have to be elected, don't they say that election?
There is an election, yes.
But I'll vote for you, though. I think it'd be good. I think it'd be very good. We'll call for a vote on that. It's good. Resolution supporting the preservation of the Minnesota concurrent enrollment option. Do we have a motion? So moved. Do we have a second?
I'll second that.
Open for discussion.
Just a brief history here. This has just recently surfaced, I would say, within the last month or two, where the concurrent enrollment option, or college in the schools is what it's most often referred to, in a lot of high schools is in jeopardy of really shrinking. And I believe it's the Higher Learning Commission or something like that, has said that in a few years they would like to not have any high school teachers teaching college classes under the college in the schools umbrella unless they have master's degrees in that particular field. So a teacher who's offering a chemistry credit would need to have a master's in chemistry. This is, and that's one of the reasons for the resolution to show our support that as a district, that this is problematic not only for us, it's problematic for districts across Minnesota. And I think when we look at the achievement gap and really encouraging, often underrepresented students to be challenged and to continue to stretch themselves academically, college in the schools is one of the ways they can do that. And now we're talking about the potential to shrink those classes down or those offerings. So it's just contrary to what we try to do, and just another example of some things that I don't believe are beneficial to anyone. So I hope that answers your question.
So were these rules put out by the Minnesota Board of Education or the legislature?
As I understand it, it's actually kind of coming from the federal level, Higher Learning Commission, of which I think that's what it's called, of which a lot of colleges and universities, that's a big thing to be accredited by the Higher Learning Commission, and a lot of colleges and universities have paid attention to this. So it isn't really a state, it's more of a federal, I would say, and that may not be accurate, but I believe that.
So who's this resolution going to?
Well, it could go to the, oops, I opened the wrong one. This one would go to support, this would be MSBA, I believe. It's and I think they'll see plenty of them, but hopefully the more they see, the more they recognize that it's important that, we support this. At some point in time, perhaps we try to get our legislators involved as well. And this can be one of the ways of demonstrating that.
Just to point out in Brian's letter in the school board, 188 students took 231 tests and are at a 4% increase from the previous year.
That's AP though. He didn't mention anything about a concurrent enrollment again.
Oh, okay.
But those numbers are going up as well.
Right now, our teachers work with the professors at SSU, right? So it's not like they're getting quality classes.
I believe so, Karen. I believe that our high school students are getting a college level class. It's structured differently because, although it's more similar for us because of our block schedule at the high school, but in many high schools they get 50-minute chunks instead of 2-hour classes like at the collegiate level. And I understand there's different perspectives on that, but yes, the college professor and our high school teacher work closely together, and many times, many situations, they'll grade papers side by side or compare, well, why'd you give this kid an A and I gave him a C, and work together to make sure that it's at the level that the college expects. It's a good partnership, and it's something that now we're in jeopardy of losing that. And I don't think that's good for any of our kids. Is it good for SMSU, where it's a good, like I said, a good partnership.
Very good. Let's vote. It is approved. Approval to submit grant to Adult Basic Ed. Motion to approve. Do we have a second? A second. For discussion.
There's some information in the attachment about what the grant is for, but like the summary said, it's to provide online opportunities for distance learning. It is significant. It would definitely help our adult basic education participants. If the grant was received, it would be typical for you, especially in this amount, to also formally recognize the acceptance of that.
Very good. Any questions? Hearing none, please vote. It is approved. Authorization for portable classroom space in elementary teachers. This is just an informational one, correct? We already talked about this.
Well, it can be informational, and I realize it's short notice, so we can discuss it. This has been discussed by the facilities committee. However, there is some timing that's associated with being able to go through the entire process of procuring, if we wish to, portable classrooms, and the sooner we start that process, the better. I did make a recommendation to authorize administration to proceed securing portable classroom space for Parkside and to hire a full-time first grade teacher and a full-time second grade teacher. However, and I apologize, it is short notice, so if it's something you want to just talk about now and bump off to October 5th, that would certainly be understandable.
My computer says action.
Well, we just switched to an action.
Mr. Chair, I would make a motion that we proceed with this recommendation.
I would second that.
So we got a motion, and we have a second. And I'd just like to mention that our first and second grade is crowded. We need more classrooms. And no matter what we do, if we do referendum and we do build a new building, it's going to be a couple more years. And so we're going to have the same problem next year and the year after that. So we need to move forward now so we can have adequate classrooms and adequate teachers. Anybody else like to comment?
Why not go the other route? Having some aides within the classroom to help the teachers versus go this route of securing these mobile buildings. We're not that much over the target. I mean, you're talking the target of 22, and there's 24. There's 2 extra kids in this classroom. It's a 4% increase over the target. So there's a lot of money to do it, a significant amount to do it. So why can't we go the other route of bringing these people to help teach?
I think one of the things that we discussed in committee is that our operating referendum was selling our public on small class sizes at that level. We felt that it was important that we honor that. It's a problem that's not going to go away, so if we don't address it now, we're going to have to address it next year. We talked about potential lease length of some of these portable facilities, and by doing it now, you're spreading that over a little longer time because it's something that we're going to have to do completely out of space. We didn't think it was in the best interest to just put another person in that classroom. We want to get licensed staff dealing with, or maintaining smaller class sizes. We felt that was a something that we as a district can afford at this time, and thought that was in the best interest going forward.
Part of it too, Kurt, is there just isn't an abundant supply of staff out there or candidates for our positions. So we had talked about the potential to try to find up to 8 teaching aides or classroom aides or paras, and twofold. One, we're not sure the benefit that they would have, and 2, just not confident that we'd go out there and advertise and be able to find enough quality people to put in the classroom, in addition to what Bill said.
So if we're at our targets, right now we're at 24, right? So if we're at our targets of 22, are we having this discussion? If we're at 23, are we having this discussion? The fact that we're at 24, I mean, that's what I'm talking about. Is it significant? That is enough that we better go to this way.
I think I would bring it up because, we said, and it's actually called the max target of 22. And along with that, with the referendum, but also, I keep hearing in a lot of the presentation, we're in the business of education. What's going to best benefit the kids? The cost, yeah, but you know what? We have a lot of revenue coming in because of the enrollment going up, and which is going to actually offset this. And like Jeff had said, this isn't just a one time. We have 192 first graders that next year will be in second grade, so that problem's going to be there. We have 184, I believe, kindergartners. So if that number goes up any, we have the same problem in first grade again. So to me, this is not the solution long term, because we need more space. But to me, just putting an aide in the room is like putting a Band-Aid on a cut. I just think we owe it to, and the referendum's important, but I think we owe it to the students. To get the best education they can, and the higher it goes, and I understand what you're saying, 22 to 24, but we do have to have a cutoff point somewhere.
Studies say that the best class size for young kids is 15 to 17, so do we really want to press it up to 24, 26, 28?
So, okay, let's say you go through and you do this. So what are the class sizes? So you go get these 2 mobile buildings, all right? And what is it going to do to class sizes? Because what's going to happen?
They're about 22 per class.
And they'll go down to
21.
20 to 21.
Really?
Because that wasn't in here, right? Was that in
Wouldn't
this
you take
case?
190? Wouldn't you take 192 divided by 9?
3 out of each.
Oh yeah, my fault. I took the wrong number.
So 192 divided by 9 is
21.
20.
21.3.
That's with no more growth, and from what I understand, we have more families that are moving into town.
There is that possibility.
We could have up to 50 more families.
Let's hope so.
It's a good problem to have, a growing community. That's good.
How hard is it going to be to hire full-time licensed teachers halfway through the year? Is that a problem for you guys?
We talked about that, but with colleges graduating people in December, we talked. Well, you can probably say it better than I can, but we talked about if we could find the right 2 teachers that would fit right now, and maybe like you'd have one teacher that go throughout the first grade, one teacher going throughout the second grade, so the kids are getting used to them. So all of a sudden in December, they're not hit with, all right, now you're switching classrooms, and you guys have to go with this person you've never seen before. Ideally, we find someone now. If not, maybe a new teacher coming out in December.
It's not ideal by any stretch of the imagination, but between those 2 grades, we have 16 more students than what we anticipated or what we had last year. 12 in one grade alone. And I wish we'd have been having this discussion in July, but you can't predict how many students are going to show up. So, in a perfect world, I think we would have already had something in place for this. We're still a ways away from making all the pieces fall into place, but getting an additional section and each grade and doing things like that. I do think we'll find a quality staff member for each of the grades. Maybe not right now, but maybe like Karen talked about, that winter graduate or whatever. And as soon as we can get everything in place, we'd be up and running.
And then what about the Bruce and the budget side? Dion, you said this is already the increase, the money's there.
On the budget side, we do have the funding because of our enrollment increases are higher than anticipated enrollment increases. The dollars to cover not only this proposal, but also all of the other things that have taken place that you have endorsed and approved. Some additional positions at the high school and the activities position, and the additional transportation route. So all of that, at least based on the study that I've done, based on, in essence, a conservative estimate as far as our enrollment growth, because there's all sorts of changes that are taking place. And yeah, we might increase because of some families moving in. We also have the decreases that take place, and Scott and I had that conversation and basically went with a very conservative number, and we have the anticipated revenue because of the enrollment increases that meets all of the needs at this point in time.
How much work has to be done on the grounds for these classrooms? I don't know how they work. Do they come with their own heating system and stuff like that?
Yeah, they do. There'll have to be a foundation put down. That's one of the major expenses, upfront expenses. You can locate the portable within 20 feet of the building. You need to have a ramp, and you need to have sidewalk connect with sidewalk. So there's a lot of work that needs to be done. It also, my understanding is, it needs to be scoped out by architect, engineer, an engineering firm. So we will have that expense and permit expense. But there's units in each of the HVAC units in each of the two classrooms that it'll be heated by electricity, and there will be air conditioning. Of course, as we're getting into the winter season, that's not going to be a real factor at this point in time. But we're looking at all those different costs. Haven't come up with any specific numbers yet, but that number that you saw in Scott's proposal, that would really be the max by far. We're looking at, over a 2-year period, a 2-year lease, around $50,000 total, $25,000 or thereabouts each year for the lease portion of the cost, and then
150 included all the work that we have to do
up front, yeah.
And not the additional cost.
Not including the additional cost for the teachers. We had programmed at one point in time, I think, $42,000 for each teacher, salary and benefits.
So if we do have to dig foundations, we do want to keep going.
Yes.
We're going to have it ready in January.
Well,
Yeah, I don't think
or
they're
sooner.
a full foundation. They're a slab.
Yeah.
Slab.
Yeah, it's like a 1x3 or something like
So
that.
the thought process here is not to have first, second grade classroom move out to the fourth building, correct?
That's correct. Because if we, in fact, did that, we would have to buy or lease another model that would include water, potable water, and sewer. And we would look at housing some of our auxiliary services, support services like EL, English Learners, Title I, Reading Corps, and maybe some special needs in these classrooms.
So today they're operating out of some classrooms that are in Parkside.
Yes.
And therefore those classrooms are available to convert.
Yeah, then they would be freed up to use basically regular classrooms for each of the grade levels.
Thanks, Dick.
Questions? Any more? Go ahead and vote. It is approved. Anything else for the good of the cause? Anything else from you young students?
On the 11th, Monica and I went to Mr. Jones to talk about backpacks, and we brought up the benefits like reduced tardiness and those who don't have insurance, because not all students have insurance on their ThinkPads. And we compared it to how we have the privilege of 1 hour lunch and how backpacks could be a privilege. But at the time, he said that he would want to not have backpacks in school.
He had a lot of good points
Yeah.
supporting it too.
So how did you think that process went?
I think it went well. We got to meet with Mr. Jones. And he also talked to us about meeting with him for other issues if the students bring it up. I think it was good to meet with him to kind of establish the process for what to do if students do come to us with issues.
Excellent.
So did you guys bring that back to the students then?
Yeah.
And got good response?
Not really.
I would guess not.
Yeah.
At least you have
Yeah.
a process set up now. That's great. That's great. Anything else, board members? Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Remy.
So at the cross-country meet, we got to see Mr. Remy on his toes. He said, okay, now we're going to do the Star Spangled Banner. And we waited, and he says, all right, now we're going to